You are listening to Rouge Radio, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
It's time to get the point as Rouge Radio is ready to kick off.
Ready!
The best football talk with the best in the business.
So what is the cost? You have 2 first-round picks this year because the Argos were dumb enough to trade for Drew Willie.
A few rookies.
We go directly to the on-field product. We welcome to the show the 20th overall pick in this past Sunday's CFL draft, DeAndre Wright of the Alouettes. DeAndre, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
And the occasional Hall of Famer.
Please welcome Doug Brown, who is one of the members of the current class of 2016 in the CFL Hall of Fame. Doug, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thank you, guys, for the kind words and for having me on the program.
Rouge Radio is on the air. Here's your hosts, Robert Dalton and Tony Allen.
Another edition, another episode of the Rouge Radio podcast. This is episode 546, powered by the Canadian Football Podcast Network. My name is Irv. I am the booth announcer of this podcast. I tell you how to contact Tony and Dalts. You can email them at thenewrouge@gmail.com. Why don't you email them? Are you scared? You scared they won't answer? You can also contact them through social media, Twitter, and Blue Sky at Rouge Radio. You can contact Tony at Tony Rouge and Dalts at Rouge Dalts. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce to you the hosts of the Rouge Radio podcast, Tony Allen and Rob Dalton. Gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you. Where's the... No, I'm trying to find the the sound effect. Okay. There we go. Yeah, well, let's welcome.
We're going to mix everything there.
Yeah. Thanks, Herb. Yeah, we're back. By the way, not to take anything away from our booth announcer, but with our booth announcing and the actual intro, there's a very good chance that you could probably fast forward 4 minutes into the show. Now, just before you get anything of any substance, welcome everybody. But before we go forward, let's deal with some house cleaning here. Rouge Radio Podcast is sponsored by the good people over at Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com. Tell them the guys at Rouge Radio sent you by entering the promo code Rouge. You get 20% off your order as well as free worldwide shipping. Your balls, oh, they will thank you. And we are also partnered with the good people over at sportsinteraction.com. Go to sia.com/Rouge. Your first deposit will be matched up to 100%. And as always, Tony and I, we ask you to please play and gamble responsibly. I've been hitting on some parlays recently, but aside from that, Tony, how's everything? It's been a week. It's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's going pretty good. Nothing exciting, just trying to work my way back into work. The weather here has been absolutely amazing, so it's trying to convince myself that it might actually stay like this, and winter might be over in these parts, but we'll see if. Yeah, I don't want to jinx it.
No, you already have. I don't know if it's the same thing in Medicine Hat, but I can tell you straight up here in Winnipeg that once it gets out of like the minus 30 degree, because at one point for like the first week of January, it was like +2, +3, minus, somewhere within that range. And then all of a sudden it just went to like 2 weeks straight of minus 30 and the wind chill was like minus 50. And I was like, I can't wait for winter to end. But it always happens. There's like 1 week in February where it's like very balmy temperature. And then it just kind of swings back to the minus 25 for a couple of weeks. And then March comes around and it's like lousy smarch weather. Mm-hmm. So do we want to talk about your fandom? Are you a Stampeder fan? Are you a Hamilton Tiger Cat fan?
Yeah, well, kind of a mix of the old and the new, right? I guess I've been both on this podcast, but it seems like I've been hard to think that when I did come on board, it was with the Tiger Cats, and I was going through the closet. I'm like, I should wear something CFL here, kind of step it up a bit. And for some reason, I just saw the Mike Morreale jersey, and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going with the Mike Morreale because, I think maybe Toronto, Montreal, BC, and Winnipeg are the teams I don't have in my closet. Which I guess I don't have that much. Right? I don't have Elks either. I have Stamps, Ticats, Lions, and Renegades in my closet.
Well,
so.
You're a hardcore fan when you got Renegades merch. hiding in her closet.
Yeah, and I think how that happened is when the Renegades folded, I was going to Calgary to get my season tickets the following year.
Yeah.
And I always went into the stamp store, and the stamp store was blowing out all the Renegades jersey, like $25 each. So I bought all three, the home and the road and the alternate Canada Day red one, if you remember that one. It had a beaver on it. I would go get it, but I don't want to step away from the camera. That would be weird.
Yeah. Luckily, like my, I don't know if I've, I don't know, it's a ceremoniously name drop. My cousin played in the CFL. My grandmother was a huge fan, followed his career from the moment he was drafted in Hamilton, followed him to Edmonton and then Calgary. And then I think he finished off his career in Toronto. So my grandmother was a huge fan. So when she passed, I got all, of her stuff. And so it's funny, the only non-Winnipeg Blue Bomber merch that I have are pretty much of the merch from his team from back in the day. So, yeah.
And you can't say his name?
I mean, I can. It's Chris Bauman. The
really?
first overall pick in the 2007 draft. Yeah.
Your first cousin was Chris Bauman?
Second cousin.
Or second cousin?
Second cousin.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
All right.
Yeah. So
interesting.
Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't bring that up. I bring up Jan Crincy sitting in my living room when I was 8 years old.
That one we've heard. We've also heard about someone's massive hammer in the locker room during an interview.
Oh, well, no, I don't recall.
We've heard that story.
Yeah, I don't think it had anything to do with the size. It was the fact that he was touching it while razzle dazzle, brazzle.
Just like unimpressive manhood, apparently.
Rouge. Well, I mean, it wasn't me. It was
anyways.
Yeah. This is a good topic of conversation for Rouge Radio After Dark. Last time that we were on the show, we talked our predictions for free agency. We are a day after the official free agent frenzy opening. As I said, we made our predictions, and not to toot my own horn. Where's the sound effect? No, that's not it.
Awesome.
Yeah, okay, that's about as much as I can do. My predictions were very successful, although I didn't call the Marc-Antoine Duquois retirement coming. I did not see that. That came out of left field. The guy was probably number one on my list for impact. I think we both had him re-signing with Montreal, or at least keeping out east. Retirement just wasn't on the horizon. So I think the second I had Jarrell Broxton going to Winnipeg, he did. I had Jake Seresna going to Winnipeg, he did. Obviously, we know Tim White was too as well. I had Janarin Grant going to Saskatchewan, and he just actually re-signs with Toronto, which is surprising because the Argonauts signed Peyton Logan, which is like I just assumed that was going to be the return specialist. Malik Carney going to Edmonton, I called that one. Outside of that, I think it was kind of guessing at that point. So I give kudos to myself. What are the biggest surprises in free agency that you had? Like that. I'm not talking about like what did the team like. Was there something that the team that needed to get done that didn't get done?
Yeah, because it's like I'd hate to say there's surprises in free agency because it's like they can go wherever they want to. I mean, it's free agency, but I think when we talked, I talked about Calgary I thought Calgary needed to go hard on free agency because they never had, which I don't think they did, and we'll cover that.
Yeah, they didn't.
When we talk about them. And I also said Ottawa. I know I did not say that Ottawa's window is opening, but I did kind of imply that, Ottawa was maybe in this shut up or put up phase now with Drew Brown as the quarterback. And my God, did they ever go at it?
Yeah.
And like across the board, there is not a part of the Ottawa game that they did not go out and try and bolster.
I'm glad you brought up the Ottawa Red Blacks, right? Because I love, it's not like the players that they got weren't weren't good. I think these were all-star players that they had, so they should be a lot better than their record was last year. But I don't know if I talked about this on the show or if I sent this like as a post online or made a TikTok video. But every now and then we come up with the more memoriam for teams that have gotten eliminated from the playoffs. And I do remember, and again, I don't know if this is on the show that I said this, but I said, here's how to fix the Ottawa Redblacks. First off, you got to get rid of their GM. And now he's still in the organization, but he's no longer the GM. So they got rid of him.
Awesome!
All right, I got to get up. No, that's not it. I had it.
You definitely want to kiss. Less Smoochie.
Yeah. All right, there we go.
It's time to start labeling your buttons.
Yeah, well, the problem is that they are, but it's very small, and I need my glasses. And then whenever I say glasses, I always think of Millhouse. My glasses! As he's falling out off the waterfall. All right, so Ottawa. I told them, you need to get rid of your GM. They did. Well, I mean, he's not their GM. Done. I said they needed to get rid of Bobby Dice. Get rid of him. And they did. They replaced him with Ryan Dinwiddie. I said that they needed to upgrade their Canadian talent. I think they did. I also said that they needed to get a bona fide backup quarterback because Drew Brown has shown a penchant to be injured at the worst times and for long periods of time, so you need to get a quarterback. And I'm not a fan of Captain Checkdown, Jake Mayer as it is, but he does have experience, so I'll give him a passing grade for that. What I did say also is that the Ottawa Redblacks needed to do something with their offensive line. They came out, I think 3 Down Nation came out with a couple of tweets saying that the Ottawa Redblacks made their running back, Greg Bell, who came over from the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He's the highest paid American running back in the salary cap era. Not good. I mean, he's a great player. I just don't think that he was worthy of being number one paid. They also said that I'm just trying to think. Well, AJ Allen is the number one paid linebacker. Again, phenomenal player, phenomenal individual off the field. I just don't think he's worthy of being number one. You know what they got in free agency for the offensive line? A big fat 0. So they get passing grades for me, and I know that we're kind of just going up in a head of topic here, but the one thing that you need a great quarterback in tandem. You need a great starting quarterback. I think they got that. You need fantastic Canadian depth. I think they have that. And you also need a very, and at that point, even 2 out of 3 isn't bad, but you still need to have that. They allowed a lot of pressures last year. They allowed Drew Brown to get injured at will. And, I don't like Jake Mayer stepping into a situation that resulted in Drew Brown getting injured. I just don't anticipate you can improve the play calling. You can improve the receiving core, which I don't think they did. I mean, Eberhard is pretty good. But I mean, to me, it's kind of like a wash when you think that Braylon Addison's not going to be there. But I mean, I don't think that they're improved in the offensive or in the receiving core. So with that being said, I know online I probably said something to the effect that Ottawa is going to be fighting for first with Montreal. Now that I've talked to myself, if we're doing our 9 teams in 9 weeks, I really am going to, like, this is the wild card. Like, they are the wild card for this year in the East. Because if they suck, that opens up a lot of there's a lot of room for Hamilton to make some noise. Because I don't see Toronto doing anything this year. Montreal is the team to beat. They've got fantastic quarterback depth. They got Canadian depth, and they got a fantastic offensive line. They may not be the best in their certain, but there's no glaring holes in that organization. And I don't see teams like Hamilton or Toronto fighting for first in the East at this point. So it is Ottawa's division to lose, or at least compete with. And if they can't do it with the offensive line, Montreal might be resting people up post Labor Day. That's a very bold prediction that I have.
For your free agency grade?
Okay, let's go to the next bit on the time.
We kind of walked into it.
You kind of walked into it, yeah. So
You might as well go all in.
I would venture to see if I was going to give a grade to the Ottawa Redblacks. I don't think they selected not a single bad player, but they didn't do what they really needed to do outright. So I do have to give them a B. That's my final grade.
Okay, and I will go. I can't judge them. I mean, the idea of this is what they did in free agency. Ottawa needed to get back into the game. If their playoff Grey Cup window wasn't open, they needed to open it. And I thought the moves that they did reflect their desire to get back to the top of the CFL. Whatever they do later, we judge them on that. Whatever they do, we can judge them in our 9 teams in 9 weeks. From a free agency standpoint, I feel like they did as much as they could. We don't know what their access was to anyone else. What they did, I would give them an A grade as far as telling Red Black fans, here's a reason to come back. We want to go in. We want to take it serious. Here's what we've done. If guys knit from there on, it's up to the fans now to believe in it. But I feel like they've sent the message they needed to send.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you. My only standpoint, like I said, I mean, if they had picked up anybody, just to admit to say that it wasn't good enough, the fact that it's kind of like stand pat is kind of like, okay, all right, they're hoping that they will kind of be adequate while the rest of the team gets better. Montreal Alouettes weren't too active, but again, Eastern Division champions don't really need to be better than the rest of the East, but you just need to be better enough to become Grey Cup champions. Out, McLeod Bethel Thompson, and in comes Dustin Crum. Out goes Dylan Wynn. Obviously, Sean Lemon's not coming back, and Sean Oakman is not going to be back in the CFL for the foreseeable future. Incoming as well is that they've signed Jarrett Stearns over from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Depth signing there. I very little action out of Montreal, but at the same time, like I said, defending Eastern champions, really not a lot that they needed to do, right? I mean, if inactivity was a grade, then maybe they give them a D, but they did what they needed to do, and for that, I literally just by reputation alone give them an A.
Yeah, and for me, Montreal, I mean, they're going to live and die by Davis Alexander. I believe that's the 2026 season, and it is what we say about the better teams every season, and essentially what you were alluding to. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Don't make additions just for the sake of doing them. Standing pat is just as good as going out and making a big splash in free market. And if you don't need to, why you're going to do it? To me, there's also a debate and don't mess with the locker room. Don't mess the locker room. And I partially understand that. And I also am in a boat of, if you can give more to that team, do it. But right now, Montreal doesn't seem to be in that boat. And let's be honest, it is the CFL East. You don't need to do too much to win that division. You can fight for first, but that still seems like a pretty soft division right now. And I'll give them a B+ for my point that sometimes the best action is no action, right? So, I mean, there was no need to do something, and that deserves a B, knowing that you don't need to do something just for the sake of doing it.
Yeah, no, and I think that's why I fought really hard. It's like, they didn't win, they didn't even come close to winning free agency, but when you don't have to, I mean, I feel like it's we shouldn't be like that's seriously grading on a curve almost. Toronto Argonauts, very active, but I don't know what they were doing. In comes guys like Jonathan Congo, Peyton Logan, Robert Priester, Deshaun Amos, I'm just trying to think about who else would came in. Darius Pickett, but gone is probably one of their MVPs on the defense, which is Wynton McManus. I imagine that they probably are going to get a lot of bodies back as far as health wise. But when I look at this team and I see what they needed to do, I don't think they addressed it at all. Their defense was pretty lethargic at times, and they lost their MVP in Whit McManus. Not only did they lose them, but they lost them to their arch rivals in Hamilton. So, I mean, not to take that into consideration as far as who they lost them to, but the fact is that they lost them, and they didn't really replace them with anybody. And so when I look at from there last year, Nick Arbuckle, phenomenal. Didn't win them many games, but sure as heck didn't lose them many games. And, they who knows? Chad Kelly's going to come back. We hasn't seen game time since the Eastern Final in 2024, right? I mean, who knows what's going. Plus, you have. I honestly don't know what Toronto was doing when I look at free agency. Yeah, they were active, but I don't think that they addressed what they needed to. So for that, I have to give Toronto a flat D, maybe a C minus, but somewhere within that grade. I don't think Toronto is going to be very competitive in 2026.
Yeah, no, I think if I say anything, it'll just be repeating what you said, and I've already done that at least once for sure. So there's no use putting your words into different words and making them mine. C minus is where I went with the Argonauts as well.
Yeah. The next team is the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I guess we're going east to west. I mean, we kind of walked ourselves in there. The Hamilton Tiger Cats didn't go into their yearly splash, which is commendable. At the same time, they lost Casey Sales, or they released him. He signed out west in BC. They got Wynton McManus, very reliable, very versatile in any defense. I just that run defense, that pass defense, that front four. I think you lose a lot of substance there, and there was a lot of opportunity to regain that through free agency, and I think they just kind of lost out. I thought guys like maybe Malik Carney would have been phenomenal acquisition, but they just couldn't do it. They've got Carrick Wheatfall from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Probably going to be one of those guys to replace. What's his face? Tim White, who went to Winnipeg. But I think that they addressed certain aspects. They lost Jonathan Moxey, but I don't think that they really. And then plus they lost a few guys on the offensive line to Edmonton, and they replaced them with guys that weren't great with Winnipeg last year, Eric Lofton and Chris Kolinkowski. Let's call a spade a spade. So I'm Wynn McManus gets him a higher grade than overall, but in this case, I would say I'd give Hamilton a B minus, C plus, somewhere within that range for that. I expected more out of Hamilton. I don't think they addressed anything.
Yeah, you covered some big points. Somewhere else where I looked too, I liked the addition of Trey Ford for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I'm sure no Ticats fan wants to see Ford in. They want to see the best of Bo Levi Mitchell. And I like Trey Ford. He's young. He can scramble. He's definitely got something to prove. And I think the only person or people that benefit from that is Hamilton Tiger Cats and Bo Levi Mitchell, because Bo is going to, I think, the prospect of losing that starting job to Bo Levi Mitchell is going to drive him even harder. And I think we will get to see the best of Bo Levi Mitchell if it's too cliche to say the ageless one or times, but it's like he is right now doing a good job of staying ahead of father time. And if anything's going to drive him, Bo loves to play. He's a gamer. He's not going to want to lose that starting job. When Bo retires, it's going to be on his terms, and he doesn't want to get replaced like Calgary did to him with Jake Mayer. And so that's why I like that one, and that's why I give Hamilton a B plus for I think bringing in a piece that's going to drive Bo Levi Mitchell even more.
Yeah, I think when we talk about the Hamilton Tiger Cats in our 9 teams in 9 weeks, I feel Trey Ford would be probably someone that we're going to be talking about quite
If you want to,
frequently.
yeah, someone that could be an amazing X factor on any team
Yeah.
heading forward, it could be him. But we'll save that for the meat and potatoes of the Tiger Cats preview.
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, not as active as they were last year. I felt last year they were kind of like shopping in the bargain, like the clearance section for certain players. This year they didn't wait. Tim White obviously won't really count him. They signed Jonathan Moxey from the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They got Jake Seresna from Edmonton, Jarrell Broxton from BC, Tommy Neal from Saskatchewan, and Javon Santos Knox from the Ottawa Redblacks. When you look at what failed Winnipeg last year offensively, they weren't able to replace Drew Wolodarski from the year before, and Zach Claros and whoever was behind him got sacked a lot. I mean, a lot of it had to do with the quarterback play, but a lot of it had to do with the offensive line, and they addressed that with getting probably the best offensive lineman that was available, in my opinion, in Jarrell Broxton, and they couldn't get to the quarterback a lot last year, and I think Jake Seresna adds that. And they're adding a lot of experience in the secondary with Jonathan Moxey. I know this is going to be homerism here, but I really like they had some needs, they had some holes. It's too early to see if that's going to pay dividends for the regular season, but they saw holes, they addressed it, and I like what Winnipeg did. I'm not going to say A+, but solid A grade in my opinion.
Yeah, I went into mid B range. There's going to be questions about quarterback and stuff in Winnipeg, but we're not here to address that. They can only do with what's available out there, and they're all good pieces. I don't know if it's enough. Winnipeg really seemed to take a step back last season, and are these the changes that are going to make it look like a completely different Winnipeg Blue Bombers team? We don't know, because they were definitely not the same Bombers team we've watched for the last 5 years. It's a great step forward, and we'll see where it goes. So definitely strong B+ for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on their actions this offseason.
I'm glad you brought up the I think you did. Maybe where I thought you were going to go. The backup quarterback is a huge question mark for me. I think they're really hoping on guys like Bryce Perkins, or maybe they're banking on Taylor Elgesma to finally just to put pen to paper with a contract with Winnipeg.
Well, I didn't want the Bombers to live and die by that comment either, so I probably backed off. Because again, if your options were Trey Ford and Jake Mayer, like there's nothing Winnipeg can do. I think, again, I don't want to start doing 9 teams on 9 weeks for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but I think if you're going to find a backup quarterback, you're not finding it anywhere in the Canadian Football League. They're going to need to do amazing scouting to try and replace them.
Yeah,
but that's a whole other can of worms that
again,
we'll address
9
later.
teams in 9 weeks. Yeah, we'll deal with that then. The Saskatchewan Roughriders. Oh man, when I'm not going to give them a failing grade, but they lost a lot of people. I'm not going to worry about too much in the offense, because I think they proved that they have a lot of depth in that receiving core. They lost Jake Mayer. I have questions behind Trevor Harris. He's going to be, is he going to be 40 during this season? 41 maybe. That's you're hoping for a lot, and there's not a lot of experience behind him. But aside from that, offensively, I think they'll be fine. It's the defense. They lose Michael Johnson. They lose Malik Carney. They lose Maldonado. They also lose DeBerry. I think it is pronounced his name, DeBerry. They also lost C.J. Rivas, A.J. Allen. And incoming is James Vaughters and James Letcher Jr. to handle special teams. So when you're the defending Grey Cup champions, yeah, this kind of, losing guys, it happens, right? I'm not going to fault him for that. But what I am going to do is fault you for not replacing him properly. Again, I think they've got the depth to handle the losses of Tommy Neal and Joe Robustelli and Dante Myers, who's going to the NFL. If he comes back, that actually gives him a little bit, more depth if he comes back in the 2026 season. Defensively, though, outside of the secondary, I think there's just a little bit more work that needed to be done, and for that, because they're the defending Grey Cup champions, I'm not going to give them anything lower than a B minus, maybe.
I went the same. My grade is the same, a B minus, but it's the broken record, and maybe I'm getting soft in my old age. This doesn't feel like something I would do for the Saskatchewan Roughriders 15 years ago when we started this, when I joined this podcast, or whenever it was. I would just rip them a new one for what this offseason like. But let's be honest, the defending Grey Cup champion, how do you get better than being the Grey Cup champions? Like, out the gate, you get a pass. And I know for a fact I said it about Winnipeg and I said it about Calgary. When you win the Grey Cup, Montreal, maybe not Toronto, but like Saskatchewan wire to wire was the best team in the Canadian Football League. You can't win an off season when you are at the top of the mountain. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Saskatchewan went in with like the most free agents. Like, they were going to get annihilated regardless. And to me, that's not a reason to dock him in free agent. You may want to say, hey, when you're signing contracts, maybe we want to look at end dates.
Yeah.
And, but that's where they paint themselves in the corner. So if I'm going to dock a grade, it's going to be for that. But I mean, whatever, you can't replace it, and they're going to get hammered. Everyone does it. You're the Grey Cup champions. Everyone wants your players now. And so with Saskatchewan gets a B because I don't think you can win free agency. You can't have that many free agents and replace them all and them all be headliners.
Yeah. No, and I think it's like if you're trying to re-sign as many as your guys, and I think they did a phenomenal job, but there were still some holes left by massive players that were integral in your Grey Cup championship, and losing them was huge. And I think honestly the biggest one was Micah Johnson up the middle in the defensive line, and it just becomes very, not impossible, but those are big shoes to fill. Let's hurry it up here.
I know I'm going to get a text after this airs. After we air this, I know I'm going to get a text message from one of our listeners in Pence, Saskatchewan, about how big of a Riders fan I am. So,
well, there was that time where you were a huge Rider fan, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. He hasn't let that go.
Yeah, for 1 week in 2019, Tony Allen was the biggest, huge Rider fan. The Edmonton Elks, very similar. In previous years, they went all in. I think they were a little bit better, obviously, attracting guys like Austin Mack, Joseph Robustelli, Brendan O'Leary-Orange to round out that receiving core. Taylor Powell to be the backup quarterback. Malik Carney, key defensive acquisition. I know that I'm missing a couple more, but those are the key ones that I thought that they were missing. I think Taylor Powell has a very similar skill set to Cody Fajardo, which is different than what they had last year. So I think if there is an issue with Cody Fajardo, and maybe you could just go like a 1A, 1B sometimes, game plan around it. I think Taylor Powell has been in the CFL long enough he deserves a little bit more playing time. Last year, Edmonton, one of the things that I thought that they, week after week, I said they need a go-to receiver. Once they lost Geno Lewis to Ottawa last year, that was just they didn't have that available. They had Keon Julian Grant, Curly Gittins Jr., great players in their own rights, but those aren't number one guys. They went out and got Austin Mack and surrounded him with depth clutch receivers like Robustelli, O'Leary-Orange. Like, guys just could be like, just produce and not have to be the focal point of that offense. So I think Edmonton they addressed some key things. They got backup depth at the quarterback position, and they addressed our offensive line too as well with key acquisitions. Colton Woodmansey, Jordan Murray, and Brendan Bardner, all from Hamilton. So you know that they're legit or somewhat legit. Hopefully Edmonton turns around and makes the playoffs, but I do like what they did in free agency. For that, I'm going to give them an A+ because they addressed everything that they needed to do. But it is going to be a wait and see because this is typical what Edmonton and teams like Edmonton and Ottawa do: spend a lot in free agency and then come out with a big loud fart noise.
Yeah, I think you're definitely more generous with your grades than I am. Maybe I need to loosen up here a little bit, but I'm going to piggyback off of the offensive line because you mentioned it. And if Saskatchewan showed us anything about Fajardo, he needs an offensive line. Montreal shows what happens if you give them one. And if the Elks have truly improved their offensive line, they've given Fajardo a couple of new targets to try out as well to boost that offense. If the defense can play respectable football, these additions might be enough for Fajardo to carry the team through. I gave him a B+ because of it. And again, give Fajardo that offensive line, apparently, and that's what he needs to play football at his peak. I mean, of course, there's going to be, well, Tony, that's every quarterback. It is, but I mean, it could be it just means Edmonton might have put 2 and 2 together and figured out and solved the big problem. Let's protect Fajardo, and he can get it done. If you know what I'm trying to say.
All right, let's move south. The Calgary Stampeders, not very active. They went on, got Dijon Brissett, and I believe Bynum from the Edmonton Elks. I want to say they got someone else, but I can't ring a bell. When we're going through the free agency, I saw Calgary's transactions, and I saw a lot of people who were just added from their negotiating list. So for training camp, so that in itself told me that they were not going to be active too much in free agency. I thought, they might be hoping a lot of Damien Alford coming back up north from his NFL tryouts, but when the grand scheme of things, when I look at Calgary, I don't see them addressing some issues that they had. They're going to get healthy on the defensive line, in the linebacking core. I think they really need to get to address some of their depth. And but I was looking for the top receiver to be looked at, or at least a go-to receiver. Once Tim White and Austin Mack were not available, there wasn't a lot of options. So I'm not going to really knock him for that. But there is some holes on that offense, and Vernon Adams isn't that kind of play. It's not going to hit. Father Time might actually kill him before Bo Levi Mitchell. Let's say that. So with that being said, again, based on what they needed, was it available? I just wanted to see them to do something to address it, to at least acknowledge the issue, but they didn't. I'll give Calgary Stampeders a C, a basic C in free agency.
Yeah, and this might be my homerism the other way. I just wanted to give them a bit of a failing grade. I won't, though. I'll give them a C-. I was hoping, I really wanted them to be active. I picked them to be in a lot of stuff on free agency. I mean, they look like they're trying to rebuild the defense, not bringing in massive names, but even the player additions, re-signings, signings, hopefully it can. And again, I think Vernon Adams Jr. can make this team into a Grey Cup champion. I genuinely think that, and we saw bits of it last season if they could. But unfortunately, you can't sign health for your quarterback. That's not something you can get in free agency, a quarterback that can stay healthy all season. And I mean, they're going to live and die by how healthy Vernon Adams is. And I don't think it really matters what you put around Vernon Adams. If he's going to go down again, then I think the only place you can get a signing that's going to help that is at a backup quarterback. And if you don't get something like that or find someone, it doesn't matter what you put around Vernon Adams Jr. if he's not in the game to use them. So not a full-out failing grade, but not a good grade for the Stampeders at a C-.
Yeah, I feel like we're outside of maybe a couple of degrees of grades. We're pretty much on the same page. Last team, the BC Lions, not so active in free agency, although they did add Darnell Sankey as well as Casey Sales before the Ed Hervey window opened. Outside of that, I don't think they added anybody. And they lost Aberhart, they lost Jarrell Broxton, they released Mika Awe. They lost Robert Carter to the NFL, and they re-signed a lot of agent Gary Peters. They re-signed. I'm not, that to me that says that they just kind of looked somewhere and they settled. And sometimes when you settle on those kind of players, yeah, I mean, love BC. I don't think they'll be bad, but I think they kind of put themselves in a position where, yeah, I'm not going to say that I'm the best know-it-all person for evaluating talent, but to somewhere within them they saw what was available and they said, okay, let's re-sign some guys that probably shouldn't have here, but let's re-sign them and then not sign anything. I think BC will be okay this year. It's not, not winning free agency is not going to be an issue, but that front seven has to get to the quarterback, or else that secondary is going to be lit up a lot. So with that being said, I might sound a little bit off, but I'll give BC a B-. Lack of activity is going to hurt them, even though that there wasn't a lot of moves to be made within that organization.
BC gets a B from me, maybe even a B+. For me, their whole offseason signing Nathan Rourke alone is enough for me to say that they won their own personal free agency just by locking him down.
Mm-hmm. But who's behind future. Nathan Rourke? That's a name. That's a big thing too. There's nobody behind. Yeah, there's nobody behind Nathan Rourke. They don't have Jeremiah Mazzoli. I mean that like addition by subtraction sometimes might be an issue there. But Bryce Bell, I think, or Chase Bryce, I think that's his name. He's got little to no experience. If something, God knock on wood, something happens to Nathan Rourke, I think BC is they're done. Like even for a short period of time, I think BC loses out on a lot of room for improvement there. I didn't mean to cut you off there, just go off on that, but I thought it was good.
Can I finish? Okay, I'm finished.
Okay, you're finished.
But now that you've completely dismantled my entire segment on the BC Lions, I'll just slowly slunk out and keep my grade, because the only thing I had you just ripped apart. So
yeah, I mean, it was a big thing, right? Like they restructured his contract to make things a little bit more easily attainable, and they ended up losing key players like Jarrell Broxton, and they brought nobody in. I mean, Darnell Sankey, is a phenomenal middle linebacker. I don't know if BC really needed that, but I just there were some positions that I think they needed to be addressed. All right. Anything you want to add? We'll just go to break, and then we'll come back with our mystery deck.
Sweet.
If you're listening to this, you're a fan of Canadian football. You may also be a fan of opportunity. If you have a product or service that you'd like to advertise, please let us know. The Rouge Radio podcast is heard by those Canada-wide from Burton, New Brunswick, all the way to Vancouver, British Columbia, and even expanding internationally to countries such as the United States, Germany, and France. For inquiries on how this spot could be yours, send an email to thenewrouge@gmail.com. That's thenewrouge@gmail.com.
Illegal substitution, too many men on the field, Saskatchewan.
Ball down, ball through, and the Montreal Alouettes have come all the way back.
And Dave Ritchie can only wonder if his BC Lions will indeed be 1994's team of destiny. Pasaglia's kick is up, it's good!
To contact the hosts, email them at thenewrouge@gmail.com, or you can tweet them on Twitter @Rouge Radio. And you can like them on Facebook at facebook.com/Rouge Radio.
Downfield for Stiegel. He's got it. No! Illegal! Are you kidding? This is unbelievable. Touchdown, Bob.
This is Don Wright of the Montreal Alouettes. You're listening to the Rouge Radio podcast.
All right, welcome back. Another edition of the Rouge Radio podcast, or at least the second half. We're going to end the program shortly with our favorite segment. It is this week's mystery deck. Tony, what do you got for me?
Well, I like this segment because it's like a really low-brow dollar store history minute for the CFL. It's like, imagine a really classy history minute that is just two donkeys talking about a guy that they can't remember or try to remember. But the player I have for you right now, again, from a particular deck of cards, I should have wrote them down, the name. But anyways, doesn't matter. Here we go. From 2002 to 2003, 2 years he spent with the Ottawa Red Blacks. Then he would move on and spend 2 years with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, 04 to 06. He would then finish his career in Saskatchewan in 07 and 08 with the Rough Riders. 2 years per team, 6 years in total in the Canadian Football League.
Okay, so 02 and 03 with Ottawa.
Yeah.
Then
Renegades.
Yeah, then 04.
For our younger viewers.
Then 2004 and 2005 with Hamilton.
Yeah.
And then 06.
Like I said, 2004, 2005, and 06 with Hamilton. So 3 years in Hamilton.
Okay.
And then 07 and 08. My math is off today. My math didn't math.
Well,
we got 2, 3, 2.
Well, you are a Rider fan, as we all know, so that tracks.
You like that an extra? Well, in this case, not enough this time.
Okay. So he didn't start. He started in Ottawa, right? So he wasn't taken in the expansion draft or the
2002, 2003, or 2002 would have been his rookie year.
Okay.
So I see what you're saying. When they came in, he wasn't taken off another team.
Okay. And so 07 was his last year?
08.
08 was his last year, but he was on the
07 and 08 with the Saskatchewan Rough Riders.
Okay, so he was on the Grey Cup winning
team.
The
Grey Cup champion team.
Okay.
CFL All-Star in 04, two-time East All-Star, and he has a West All-Star in there as well.
Okay.
So I didn't pick some nobody hump. We're talking All-Star here.
Okay.
He was enough to be an All-Star three times. Well, an All-Star CFL and a two-time East All-Star. One-time West All-Star. So I said.
Okay, to avoid. Yeah, I think I'm going to need a hint.
I don't know what else I have to give you. Position?
Yeah, maybe position.
Wide receiver slot back.
Okay. That actually, okay.
American.
Okay.
Or international, whatever we're calling them.
Well, right now that's, they're American. I want to say Jason French, but I don't think he played for Ottawa, and I think he went from Saskatchewan to Hamilton.
Anything else I give you would be vague college stuff, and I don't think you follow these guys that far back. Unless your knowledge of Slippery Rock University alum is very good.
I'm going to guess, and I think I'm wrong here, because I don't know if he played in 08. Was it DJ Flick?
Yes, DJ Flick.
Oh,
good job.
All right. Okay.
Nice pull.
Okay. I did not. I remember him playing for Hamilton, but I also, for some reason, I remember him playing in Saskatchewan in 06. So I think that kind of threw me off a little bit. And I don't remember him in 08, unless he was one of the plethora of receivers that injured themselves in that year. My God, that was a horrible year. If you were a receiver in Saskatchewan in 2008, your knee was effed. Your knee was effed up. That'll wrap it up for this week's show. Thank you, everybody who's watching, tuning in to watch, who tune in to, feel free to like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on through YouTube, and as well as to wherever you have you listen to your podcast. Tony, any final thoughts?
Yeah, if you thought it was quick how fast we got to CFL free agency, I mean, depending on what you've selected as when you want to start 9 teams in 9 weeks, that could be as early as like the last week in March, April 1st. I was just kind of ballparking it. I didn't know if you wanted to get a week in, and then I didn't know if you wanted week 9 to be the week before week 1, or if you wanted, because basically it would have been episode 9 of 9 teams, and then Thursday would have been season opener. So I didn't know if you were going to cut it that close, but
well, I mean, that's the way that we've always done it. Like we've always done the 9 teams, 9 weeks that leads up into the preview show for week 1, right? Like that's the way that we've always
regardless
done it, right?
We're like a month and a half away from this thing getting real serious here. So
I'm about 3 weeks away from
crazy.
moving. I'm moving. I'll get a whole new setup.
Again?
Yes.
There you go.
I took it personally. In the area I moved prior to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers winning the Grey Cup, and they were on the verge of going to their 3rd straight Grey Cup before I moved. A little bit closer, but I moved on the other side of the major highway here, closer to the stadium, and then they started losing the Grey Cup 3 in a row, and then they missed the Grey Cup final last year. So I'm hoping moving back to the old. No, I'm not doing it for that reason. It's just to be closer to the city. Where we are right now, it's like pretty much the outskirts of the city.
Oh dang!
Yeah,
that's a walking distance.
Well, I mean, it's still walking distance. Yeah, it's about 20-minute walk away to the stadium. I could still hear the crowd. I could still hear the cannon. I could still hear the announcer. But it's just.
I got winded just thinking about walking for 20 minutes.
But I am definitely looking forward to setting everything up. I'm going to have my own little room for the podcast, so that'll be kind of cool to set up here. On that note, so I guess we'll come out with a post to indicate our schedule. But until that time, thanks for listening. We'll see you whenever that day is.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.